My name is Elina Mercer. I'm 31 years old. 3 weeks ago, something happened at my younger sister's wedding that completely turned my life upside down. The reception hall was full of people. Soft, warm lighting, white flowers on the tables, slow music playing in the background, and laughter everywhere. Everything looked perfect, exactly like you see in movies. I was sitting at a table with my family. My sister was a few feet away, smiling with her husband. My mother was sitting across from us, as always, completely in control, watching everything closely. And then my aunt finished her 4th glass of wine. At first, I didn't pay much attention. She sometimes drinks a little too much. But this time something was different. She kept looking at me. There was a strange hesitation in her eyes, like she was trying to hold something back. Then she suddenly leaned toward me, so close that I could smell the alcohol on her breath. She said in a low voice, "You know, your mom hid that letter from you, right?" For a few seconds, I couldn't even understand what she meant. "What letter?" She looked straight into my eyes. And this time her voice was clearer. "Your college one. You got selected. But your mom never told you." We all knew. The words started echoing in my head. We all knew. Slowly, I lifted my head and looked across the room at my mother. She was sitting there, completely calm. She looked at me, and not for a single second did she panic or try to hide anything. She just gave a slight smile. I still haven't forgotten it. I stood up and walked straight toward her. My hands had gone cold, but my voice was still under control. "Is it true?" She looked at me without any hesitation, and very calmly said, "You weren't ready for that place." Just 5 words. But those 5 words broke everything inside me that had been built over the last 14 years. I had spent half my life thinking I wasn't good enough, that I had dreamed too big, and the world had stopped me where I belonged. But the truth was, the world didn't stop me. My own mother did. 1 letter, 1 mailbox, and 1 decision. That changed the entire direction of my life. I was standing there surrounded by people, the music still playing, people still laughing. And it felt like everything had stopped. My mother was still looking at me. That same calm face. As if she had done nothing wrong. As if she was completely sure she was right. And maybe that was the scariest part. I slowly picked up my purse from beside my chair. Because that night, I hadn't come empty-handed. And what I took out of that purse, for the first time, it wiped that smile off my mother's face. But before we get to that, you have to go back to 2012. When I first started waiting for that letter. It was spring of 2012. My senior year, Ridgewood High School, New Jersey. A small school where everyone knew everyone's GPA. Mine was 3.9. Every Friday and Saturday night, I worked at a local diner. $7.25 an hour plus tips. It wasn't much, but for me it was everything. Because I already knew. No one was saving anything for me. My mother, Elina Mercer, had her own system. There were 2 of us. My younger sister Amy and me. Amy got everything. Piano classes, a private SAT tutor who came home every week, and a college counselor who was personally planning her applications. What did I get? One day, I came home from school and found brochures for community colleges on my bed. No conversation. No explanation. Just brochures. I didn't say anything, because I already knew what the answer would be if I asked. "You belong here, Elina. Staying local is right for you." She said it like it wasn't even an opinion, but a fact, like a weather update. And honestly, I had almost started believing it. Almost. But somewhere inside me, there was still a small part that refused to accept it. That part pushed me to do something. I secretly filled out the application. No big plan. No drama. Just 1 attempt. After my shifts, I would go to the library. Sit there late at night and write my essay. Every word carefully chosen because I knew this was my only chance. I paid the application fee with my tips. Crumpled bills, coins, everything put together. I didn't tell my mother. I didn't even tell Amy. She was 15 back then. She still believed our mother was completely fair. I didn't want her to learn the truth so soon. There was one line that kept repeating in our house. Amy has potential. Elina is stable. Stable. That word became a label for me. Like I wasn't a person. Just a safe option. April started. Every day after school, the first thing I did was check the mailbox. Our mailbox was at the end of the driveway. Old, slightly tilted, and its flag never stayed upright. My mother would get home by 3:15 every day. I got off the bus at 3:40. 25 minutes. At that time I didn't know. But those 25 minutes were deciding everything. Every day I hoped. Every day either the mailbox was empty, or it had only bills. All in my mother's name. Elina Mercer. Elina Mercer. Elina Mercer. My name nowhere. One evening I was sitting at the kitchen table. She had a grocery flyer open. I gathered the courage and asked, "Did any letter come today?" Without even looking up, she replied, "No, and maybe it won't. And maybe that's for the best." That was it. No sympathy. No questions. I went upstairs, closed my door, and started crying. From downstairs I could hear her voice. She was on the phone, speaking softly. I thought, she must be talking to a friend. I didn't think about it again. The next morning when I came downstairs, those same brochures were on the kitchen counter again. This time newly printed. Tri-County Community College. State Technical Institute. The tuition fees circled in red pen, as if my future had already been decided. And at that moment, I stopped fighting. Thought maybe she was right. Maybe I really wasn't worthy of that letter. Little did I know, that letter was never lost at all. In August 2012, I enrolled at Tri-County Community College. I told myself, just 2 years, then I'll transfer. First, I truly believed it. In every class I worked hard. I submitted every assignment on time. My grades were good. My professors noticed me. But slowly, that voice my mother had been planting in my mind for years started getting louder. You're meant to stay local. You're stable. You won't be able to do that much. At first I fought it. Then I started ignoring it. And then there came a point when I accepted it as the truth. After 2 years, I transferred to a state university. Penn State Harrisburg. My degree, project management. I graduated. I had $36,000 in student loans. No support. But I still held myself together. My first job, administrative assistant at a mid-sized construction company. Answering phones. Sending emails. Managing files. No glamour. But that's where I started learning. I learned how to read blueprints. I learned how site schedules work. I learned how budgets function. Because one thing was still alive inside me. I wasn't someone who gives up. By 26, I became a project coordinator. At 29, project manager. At 31, senior project manager. I was handling residential projects worth $3 to $4 million. Had my own team. My own decisions. My own responsibilities. I bought myself a small house, 15 minutes away from the city where I grew up. Paid my own mortgage. Mowed my own lawn. Handled everything on my own. From the outside, everything looked fine. Maybe even better than fine. But inside, nothing had changed. Every time I got a promotion, my mother would shrink it by comparing it to something else. That's good, Elina. Amy also got promoted in marketing. It's a very competitive field. You bought a house. That's nice. Amy is also looking in a better area. It was never direct insult, but the message was always clear. The scoreboard always worked by her rules. And on that scoreboard, I was always behind. I never hated Amy. She was my sister. She worked hard too. But I was definitely angry at myself. Not because I had failed, but because I felt like I never even tried. At least, that's what I believed. That letter. It was the one thing that kept coming back to my mind again and again. What if I had received it? What if I had gone there? What if I had been different? But every time the answer was the same. You were never meant for that place. And I believed it again. For 14 years. I lived my life with that one lie. A lie so deep that it became part of my identity. But 6 months ago, something changed. It was a small moment, but it shook everything. And after that moment, I made a decision. A decision I didn't tell anyone. Not my mother. Not Amy. Not any of my friends. That decision was in my purse that night. And now, it was about to come out. 2 days before my sister's wedding, I arrived at the venue, a country club in New Jersey. Clean front lawn, white chairs, and a large hall inside for the reception. Everything was perfectly planned, because my mother had planned it. Like always, like everything else. When I walked in, she was already there, holding a clipboard giving instructions. Move the centerpieces slightly left. Keep the lighting soft. Chairs should be evenly spaced. She saw me, paused for a second, then said, "You're here." That was it. Then her eyes went to my dress. "You were supposed to wear sage green. The other bridesmaids are in dusty rose. This is better for you." Better, meaning different, meaning stand out separately. I didn't say anything. I never did. That night was the rehearsal dinner. A long table, candlelight, around 70 people. Everyone relaxed, talking. Then my mother stood up to give a toast. She raised her glass and began. When Amy was born. And for the next 8 minutes, she spoke only about her. Her childhood, her achievements, her kindness, her future. I always knew my daughter would do something big. My daughter. Just one. I was sitting 4 feet away. But in that speech, I didn't exist. Not once did she say my name. Not once. People clap. Clap too. 'Cause what else could I do? After dinner, people started getting up. My aunt came to me. She held my hand a little too tightly. Her eyes were red. "I need to tell you something." I immediately asked. "What?" She shook her head. "Tomorrow. I'll tell you tomorrow." "Why not now?" She took a deep breath like she was holding herself back. "Because if I say it now, everything will end right here." And she walked away. I didn't understand what she meant. But something inside me had already started feeling uneasy. The next morning, we were all getting ready in the bridal suite. My sister was sitting in front of the mirror, getting her makeup done. She looked beautiful. Truly. I zipped up her dress. "You look perfect," I said. She smiled. "Thanks, you too." And just then my mother walked in. "The schedule has changed," she said directly. "In the photos you stand in the back. Your height will block the front. I'm 5 feet 6 inches. My sister is 5 feet 4 inches. That wasn't the reason. It was control." Then she casually added, "And during the ceremony, smile a little less. It shifts attention." My less. At my own sister's wedding, I looked at myself in the mirror, and for the first time, I felt like I didn't recognize myself. The ceremony was outside on the lawn. White chairs, light breeze, everything looked beautiful. But for me, everything felt heavy. My mother was sitting in the front row, like the entire event belonged to her. While the officiant was speaking, she suddenly stood up and started talking. This wasn't in the script. This wasn't planned. But she did it anyway. For a mother, the greatest pride. And again, me. Only Amy. I was standing in the back, holding a bouquet. And for the first time I could clearly see. This wasn't an accident. This was a pattern. A pattern that had been going on for years. The reception started. Music, lights, people laughing. Everything looked normal. But at our table, something had changed. My aunt kept taking drink after drink. My mother kept watching her, as if she was afraid that something was about to come out. My grandmother was silent, but her eyes understood everything. Me could feel my purse. What was inside it was no longer going to remain just my secret. And in just a few moments, everything was about to change. The reception was in full swing. The DJ was playing soft music. People were on the dance floor, Waiters were moving between tables. From the outside, everything looked completely normal. But at our table, the air had changed. My aunt had already finished her 5th glass. Her hands were slightly shaking. She kept looking at me, then at my mother, then down at her glass. My mother was sitting calmly, but her eyes were fixed on my aunt the entire time, as if she was waiting, or maybe afraid. Then suddenly my aunt placed her glass on the table, a little too hard. The sound caught attention. 2 people nearby turned to look at us. She leaned toward me and said, this time without any hesitation, "Tell her, Diane. That's enough." Silence spread across the table. My mother gave a small laugh, trying to brush it off. "Patty, you've had too much to drink." "No," my aunt shook her head, "not today. Today I'm not staying quiet." Now everyone's eyes were on our table. My heart was racing, but this time I wasn't going to walk away. I looked straight at my mother. "What do you need to tell me?" For a few seconds she said nothing. Then in a very calm voice she said, "This is not the right time, Elina." Then when was the right time? I cut her off for the first time. 14 years ago. The noise in the room faded away. Only our table remained. My aunt spoke again. "Tell her the truth. You hid that letter." There was no going back now. I looked into my mother's eyes. This time she didn't look away. She took a deep breath and said, "Yes, I hid it. That's it. So direct, so easy. As if it wasn't a big deal. As if it wasn't a mistake." "Why?" My voice was low, but steady. I shrugged. "Because you weren't ready." The same line. Again. "You wouldn't have survived there. I was protecting you. Protecting me." I looked at her for a few seconds. 14 years. For 14 years I blamed myself. For 14 years I believed I wasn't enough. For 14 years I made my dreams smaller, because someone else made a decision for me. And now she was justifying it. The table was silent. No one said anything. And then I slowly picked up my purse. My mother noticed the movement. For the first time, there was a flicker of confusion in her eyes. I opened the zipper, reached inside, and pulled out the envelope. Clean, with a blue logo on top. I placed it on the table in front of her. She looked at it. For a second she didn't understand. Then her eyes widened slightly. "What is this?" she asked. I looked straight at her. "The same thing you hid from me." The silence in the room deepened. She slowly opened the envelope, took out the paper, read the first line, and right there, her smile disappeared. Completely. For the first time. I saw it. She understood. "You?" Her voice dropped. He nodded. "Yes. I applied 6 months ago." Paused, then said, "And this time, no one hid my letter." My voice wasn't loud, but it was clear, controlled. "I'm 32. I built my life on my own. I've done everything you said I couldn't do." Looking straight into her eyes, I said, "And now, I'm going there." No one at the table spoke. Not even my mother. This time she had no answer. No justification. No control. Just silence. And in that silence, for the first time, I felt like my story finally belonged to me, not to anyone else. That night, for the first time, I didn't feel small. For the first time, I didn't need to be compared to anyone. For the first time, I didn't have to ask for my place in my own life. Because the truth was finally out. And more importantly, I had finally stood up for myself. If you've made it this far, tell me one thing. Has anyone in your life ever made a decision for you without asking you? Let me know in the comments. I genuinely read them. And if you like real deep stories like this, not just to hear but to understand, then like this video, subscribe to the channel. Because these stories are far from over. This is just the beginning.